welcome back to the Solomon Project, where it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that counts. I'm your host, Richard Burns, and I'm going to share this evening with you, take this walk. If you don't know it yet, I drive a truck, and I spend long hours in that seat, sometimes driving 500 miles, sometimes 600 miles, and it's a good idea to get out of the truck and take a walk, just so that your circulation doesn't become a problem later on. I'm going to leave a description. I'm going to leave a link in the description for you to be able to expose yourself if you haven't, if you don't know anything about this, you never heard of this. I'm going to leave a link in the description about the dictator of the Dominican Republic. When my father was a part of the regime. And you can get an understanding as to where the mindset is for a lot of Dominicans and why the society was shaped the way it was. And then you'll discover why I have a hard time with getting along with some Dominicans, being that I was raised here in the United States since the age of 3. I was exposed to information, cultures. I was exposed to lessons in school that I would have never gotten in the Dominican Republic. As a result, I embrace what I am. I don't deny what I am. I don't hide what I am. I don't do anything against that. But as you'll see in the video, in the link, you'll see that, yeah, it's the complete, they do the complete opposite of what I do. So on my channel, I have a focus, and that focus has to do with engaging in the stock market. I want to let people in the hood know, especially in the hood, that's the area that I'm concentrating on the most. I want to let people in the hood know that they don't need to sit on the sidelines. They can participate. If you're an American citizen, you're going to have an easy time at accessing the stock market. This stock market, the US stock market, the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ. Now, I know that people have their doubts. I bumped into a truck driver in another rest area, or not a rest area, another a truck stop. And I had, oh, by the way, shout out to Ronan at ET Transport, that truck driver that I'm referring to. He wanted to thank you, Ronan. So he asked me to do it for him. Ronan from ET Transport. It's an excellent company. I came on board. As a matter of fact, I'm the first driver hired for their Atlanta facility, which is brand new. And that same driver was telling me that he doesn't get involved in the stock market. Now, people in the hood may not get involved in the stock market because it's not a topic of conversation. It's not a topic of conversation, and so it's not something that they consider. But there are people that have been exposed to the stock market in one way, shape, or form, and a lot of the things that they've experienced or have seen other people experience have been negative, and as a result, they're afraid to swim in those waters. I've been in the stock market since 1996, and I can tell you that if you remain disciplined and consistent, the probabilities of you running into a problem are extremely low. Extremely low. I can't tell you that, well, nobody can tell you actually, that there are any guarantees associated with the stock market. There are no guarantees. Anything having to do with investing or business, there are no guarantees. Zero guarantees. Anybody tell you otherwise, I strongly recommend you turn around and run away from them as fast as you can. Matter of fact, the compliance department always made sure that there were disclaimers that we gave to our potential customers or even our customers, and within that disclaimer, you had to mention the fact that whatever performance that we were showing to any of our clients, whatever performance we were showing, whatever returns that we were showing that were generated, that there's no guarantee that those returns can be imitated or reproduced. Past performances are not indications of future returns. Something along those lines. I forget. I've been out of the loop for so long, but the compliance department of any brokerage has to make sure that their brokers are putting out these disclaimers to the customers or potential customers. And it's something that you have to always keep in mind. There are no guarantees. So when you get involved with a particular company that you want to buy shares from, there's no guarantee that those shares are going to be there 10 years from now. There's no guarantee that if they pay a dividend, that they're going to pay a dividend every time. There are instances where corporations stop paying dividends for a while. There are instances where corporations stop paying dividends permanently. And it's up to you if you want to continue purchasing shares of that company or not. You got two categories. You got income producing shares, and then you got growth shares or growth companies. The growth companies don't offer dividends. Where you make a profit is when you purchase the shares and it increases in value, you sell it, and then you have a realized gain, as opposed to an unrealized gain where you have it in your account but you don't sell it. You buy it at one price, it increases in value, you don't share it, it's a increase in value, but it's not a realized increase. Not until you sell it. You buy it at $10, sell it at $50, you got a $40 realized profit if you sell it at $50. If you're just holding on to it, it's an unrealized. Keep that in mind. Sometimes people present portfolios. Sometimes people present certain performances for certain stocks, for certain ETFs, for certain funds. And what they're showing you is an unrealized gain, not a realized gain, because they haven't finished the steps to realize a profit, which is you buy, then you sell. I understand how people can get nervous and scared when it comes to the stock market. There's tons of news and information about somebody getting scammed, about some corporation going bankrupt, about some fund losing everything and people losing their retirements and things like that. There's a way of reducing the possibility of having that happen to your portfolio. So you don't need to be scared. You don't need to sit on the sidelines in fear, because the worst is going to happen to you if you put your money in the stock market. Warren Buffett is an example. Warren Buffett started investing in the stock market when he was 11 years old. Warren Buffett is one of the wealthiest people in the world, and his wealth was made through the stock market. Is he some kind of a stock market freak or something like that? No, not at all. You can achieve what Warren Buffett achieved. And the secret is, same secret I've been providing for everybody in my previous channel and in this channel now. It's discipline and it's consistency. You need the discipline to not fall prey to one of the stronger emotions, and a lot of content creators in this space, they like to appeal to people's greed. Once you got them because of their greed, it's a wrap. So you need to exercise discipline so that you don't fall prey to your own greed. And that's not easy. It's easier said than done. Greed is very powerful. So is fear. And fear is the other emotion. Because with fear, you'll become one of those people that overanalyzes and analyzes to the point that when an opportunity comes along your way, you don't execute a trade or you don't execute a purchase because you want to continue analyzing. You want to analyze what you just finished analyzing. And then when you're done doing that, you want to analyze it some more. Because now you're looking at a chart, you're doing a technical analysis, and you find one thing to analyze the chart with, then incorporate it with another thing to analyze it with, then you take that off and add something else completely, and every time you analyze it, you're getting a different result. And you question yourself and you question what you're doing, and before you know it, the opportunity went by and you did nothing. But greed is the big one. People are constantly falling because they want to catch that corporation that you can buy for $1 and it'll shoot up to $2,000 a share and make a fortune. Those are very rare events. Very rare events. I'll give you an example. Booking.com. Booking.com's old name was Travelocity. Was it Travelocity? I don't remember. But Booking.com was going up in price back in the late 1990s. It was going up in price. Went up to $100 a share. Institutional investors were going crazy. They bought more. Went up to $200 a share. Started captivating people's attention. $300 a share. Now you start getting people who get caught up in FOMO. If you never heard of that term, FOMO is an acronym, and it stands for fear of missing out. So you get people hit with FOMO because the stock has been increasing in value, and by a lot. And so people feel the need to purchase it because they don't want to miss out. There are even professionals that started purchasing because the brokerage got on their case for not taking advantage of this increase. So the brokerages might push their brokers to get their customers to start purchasing more of Booking.com. Because of that, it goes from 300 to 500. People are really starting to go crazy. Well, in 2000, I think it was, or 1999, the price of Booking went to $999. This thing has been going up. How could I possibly miss out? I have to hop in. $999? Who cares? That thing will probably go to $2,000. It went this far. I don't care how many shares I need to buy. I'm going to buy shares of Booking.com. And then within a few days, sure enough, the stock crashed. What? Yes, it did. The stock crashed. It went as low as $6.40 some odd cents. Now, could you imagine the people that came in and bought those shares when it was $700, $800, $900, for it to crash down to $6 and like 40 something cents? That's crazy. What's even crazier is that while it was down there at $6 and 40 some odd cents, somebody decided to experiment and purchase it. After dropping all that, somebody did their homework, because now Bookings.com is close to $3,000 a share. I forget what it is. But after coming down so long for such a great height, that's more of an example of how crazy it can be. But discipline and consistency, it's what I show with the Schwab account. Imagine somebody named AJ. And AJ is going through surfing YouTube, stumbles across some channel called The Solomon Project. And here's this guy, Richard Burns, talking about discipline and consistency and the stock market, and whoa, what's that? Maybe AJ's 21 years old, and he's from the hood. And the only thing he's seen about the stock market were in movies. Movies where people got scammed. Movies where people lost fortunes, like Trading Places. Like, I guess, The Wolf of Wall Street. I never saw that movie, but people are always bringing it up. I know the environment. It was a boiler room. And yeah, those places are crazy. A lot of crazy things go on in those boiler rooms. But that's who AJ is, a 21-year-old and doesn't know anything about the stock market, stumbles upon this channel. All he knows is what he's seen in the movies. Gets in contact with Richard Burns. He's lucky enough that Richard Burns has some time available that he can dedicate to him. He encourages AJ to open up this account in Schwab. At the time, AJ was bringing home $300 a week. And with $300 a week, he was able to take care of his business and have some money to spare so that he can have fun, whatever fun is, because fun is subjective. And being suggestive for those who are being exposed about what subjectivity is. When something is subjective, it's not the same for every person. So what's fun for one person is not fun for another person. Or some of what you call fun, they might agree with, but some they don't. It varies. It varies way too much. So when somebody talks about, I want to have money, you only live once, I want to have fun, well, what's fun to that person may not be fun to another. I, for example, I don't find anything amusing about parachuting. I don't find anything amusing about it. So I don't feel inspired to do it. I have friends that have done it, that have asked me to go with them, use some social pressuring to try to get me to go with them, but I don't go. I'm not interested. I don't think that's fun. But somebody might. The point is this. Here's AJ bringing home $300 a week, and he has the fun that he's able to have, no problem. So now Richard Burns encourages him that once he gets that raise that he's waiting on, which he gets the following week, after he opens up an account, he now brings home $350 a week. So now there's an increase when he comes home. So Richard Burns tells AJ, listen, you had fun when you were getting $300. I strongly suggest you continue to have fun with $300. And there's a book I want you to read. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon. And AJ goes and he reads that and he figures, okay, that sounds like a plan. Take 10% of whatever I make, put it aside. But in this case, you're not just putting it aside, you're putting it into an investment account. So you're going to get returns off that money while you keep stashing it there, as opposed to just stashing it under your mattress. What happens when you do that? Well, by the end of the year, you would have lost 3.5% of the value of your money, because every year there's an increase in the cost of living by 3.5%. So your money's not going to have the same value. But if you invest it, get yourself 10% return, you'll be ahead of the game by 6.5%. So AJ listens to what Richard Burns offers him as a direction for his money. Cool. So now, when I show you the Schwab account, I want you to imagine that that Schwab account belongs to AJ. And right now, AJ's getting a return of roughly 21% in a year. Now, someone who has never invested in their life, someone who never bothered to figure out or find out or hear about the different rates of return that are out there, 21% doesn't sound like anything. The 21% is just a number. But for people who do know, they understand that 21% is a huge deal, really big deal. If you got a 401k, which is a retirement account, a qualified retirement account, as opposed to a Roth IRA, that is not a qualified retirement account. But I'm not going to get into details as to the difference. But the point is that the 401ks are typically managed by professionals of the brokerage that has your 401k. I said professionals. They're managing your money. What are they producing on average? 3 to 6%. But wait a minute, I just finished telling you that AJ is getting 21% on that Schwab. Yes. In other words, AJ is beating the professionals. Yes, he is. Now, what's the metric by which a lot of brokers are judged by, compared to? It's the S&P 500. The S&P 500 has been producing an average return for the past 100 years of 11%. The vast majority of brokers don't get anywhere near 11%. So for AJ to get 21%, that's a big deal, a very big deal. For some people, that's unheard of. There are some people that have traded in the stock market or have invested in the stock market, and you tell them that you've been yielding 21%, not trading, because that's different, investing, what people might call passive investing. Passive because you're not constantly buying and selling. And as far as day trading is concerned, hell no. I don't recommend that for anything. Nope. See, day trading appeals to people's greed. And you have tons of people trying to teach you how to day trade. I would never do that. I would never encourage anyone to day trade. I think that's irresponsible of them to do that. But this is America. Actually, the United States of America, because America's big. In the United States, you know, you can put some regulation on stuff which didn't exist prior to 1943, I think it was, I don't remember, when the Securities and Exchange Commission was created. Prior to that, it was a no man's land. Prior to that, you had celebrities, you had sports figures, you had politicians, everybody and their mother telling you what stocks to buy. You can't do that now. And of course, you had the stock market crash of 1929, wiped people out. And you still have some companies that get wiped out. You still have some people that, for example, Enron and the accounting firm that they had, I think it was Andersen, that was in bed with the company, so they were fudging the numbers. They weren't giving you the correct numbers, which is another thing you got to watch out for, especially if a corporation is from one of these authoritarian governments. You definitely got to watch out for the type of data and numbers that they put out. It's usually inflated or absolutely wrong. And you're taking a huge risk by engaging with those corporations from authoritarian governments. Easily get wiped out. So Enron and Andersen, the accounting firm, they were in bed together, and Andersen was reporting some falsehoods in their accounting. The end result was that Enron went down, which was an energy company. Enron went down, bankrupt, and a lot of people lost their life savings, their retirement accounts, everything. It was horrible. I think the CEO committed suicide. If I remember correctly. Now, shout out to Curtis York and Tara Helms. Tara Helms has 2 channels. I got both her channels. I got the link to both her channels in the description. And Curtis York, I have the link to his channel on the description as well. I'm also going to leave a link to the video about Leonidas Trujillo, the dictator of the Dominican Republic. Balaguer is mentioned there. He became president after Juan Bosch. Balaguer was the one who was friends with my father that also targeted my father for assassination because my father was trying to overthrow him. Good friends, huh? Right. Anyway, it's fascinating. It might anger some of you because there are some details in that video that are pretty nasty. But listen, it's what my family lived through, and I'm gonna give you a heads up. They're trying to establish some type of regime like that here in the United States. The writing is on the wall. I see it. Some people are in denial. I don't argue about it. The only thing I got to say is, if you're in denial about it, or you know people that are just ignoring that, if we go down that path, it's going to be a lot of suffering. A lot of suffering. If it's all about money to you, well, you're going to lose that and then some. You'll get bribed into believing that your economic situation is going to improve, but that's not how it happens. So let's keep an eye on AJ's account, AJ Schwab account, and how it performs. I'll be presenting it at least once, maybe twice a week, so that you see how the account is progressing. None of the shares in the portfolio are ETFs or funds. ETFs are exchange traded funds. I can go into detail about that in a future video, but for now, I just want to let you know, listen, the stock market's been around since the mid 1600s. So I want you to think, after this video, I want you to think about that, mid 1600s. What does that mean? A stock market that's been around since the mid 1600s. Think about how many wars have occurred throughout the world since the mid 1600s. I mean, just here in the United States alone, you had the Spanish-American War, you had the Revolutionary War, you had the Civil War, you had Vietnam, Korea, Iraq. Just in this country alone, imagine other countries and the wars that broke out in other countries, the invasions, the natural disasters, the earthquakes, the tornadoes, hurricanes, tsunamis, all the tragedies that have occurred throughout the world. Look at Rwanda in the 90s, 1 million people killed in 1 month, in just 1 month. Think about all the things that have happened in this world since the mid 1600s. The stock market is still here, folks. It is still here. Yeah, I think I ran my mouth long enough. But Tara Helms, I'm gonna start calling her the professor. She put me onto some films. I forget the name of the producer, and I apologize for that, Tara. But it's amazing how the films, these were from back in the 20s and the 30s. It's amazing how these films depicted our people in a different light. Our people were walking around with suits and ties on a regular basis, not with their pants falling halfway down. None of that. So the depiction of our people was very different from this producer. French name, I forget. One last thing before I go. No, you know what? I'm gonna include it in another video. I'm gonna let it go with that. So guys, stay fresh and keep it profitable, okay? I'm gonna let Kitty take over.
Arabam Dacia, seviyorum çift kalem aça. Göremedi kimseden fayda. İşler